Hello and welcome to the Learn How to See Better podcast, the only podcast out there known to actually improve your vision the longer you listen. This is your host, Drew Davis, and I'm glad you've joined me here today. I can't wait to share some great information with you about how to improve your health, wealth, and relationships. So let's get right down to it, shall we? Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Drew Davis, and I want to welcome you back to the Learn How to See Better podcast. And this evening is a little different here in Phoenix, Arizona. We got a little rain here in the spring, and it's a nice, pleasant surprise. I decided to do something a little bit different, add my own specialized soundtrack, courtesy of Mother Nature. And part of what I want to talk about tonight has to do with Mother Nature, has to do with respecting Mother Nature and respecting the seasons and respecting time. Because the thing I want to talk about is the beginning, not the beginning of time, but the beginning of our time in a journey. Specifically, I want to talk about starting where we are. When you look at any journey, whether it's your whole life journey or a specific portion of the journey you have to look at where you're starting. You have to look at where you're starting and be able to appreciate where you actually are and not be discouraged about how far away a certain goal or destination is. I mean, granted, we might be sitting on the tarmac in Phoenix looking at taking a trip to New York and saying, wow, I'm so far away. This is going to be a 4 or 5 hour flight, going to take so long. But you really know that with a good book or a great conversation, you meet somebody, new and interesting, or you just flat out take a nap. Guess what? Wheels up, wheels down, you're across the country. Happen in no time. Start where you are. But the thing about that's significant that I want to call out is when we start where we are, a lot of us will get discouraged very quickly. We start excited, but we get discouraged quickly, as though we were expecting to be at the finish line like right after we got started good. It's kind of funny. It takes me back to when I first got started with something where I really had to humble myself and start where I was. And that was when I first got involved with sports. I first started playing football and Pop Warner as a kid. And I think I was, 10 years old, too early to even really be lifting weights, seriously. But the point was, I played football when I was young, and I got into wrestling when I was in junior high school. And one thing about wrestling that was so fascinating for me was it really brought out the true spirit of a champion. There was so much personal accountability. I remember, learning how to, what it took to become a great wrestler. There's no finger pointing, there's no that guy dropped the ball and he threw a bad pass. If you end up pinned on your back, guess what? You got nobody to blame but yourself. But the point of starting where you are is that's where a lot of people start where they are in wrestling. But for me to start where I was, took me to where I was starting to learn the moves and develop some skills. And I was actually, a decent wrestler in junior high. And I think I was maybe in like a county or city tournament, whatever it was, regional tournament. And I was wrestling for first, in the finals. And the guy that I was up against was a short, dense little dude. It was like he was just a little, brick. And going up against this guy was, kind of intimidating. The guy's well built. We're like 12, 13 years old. And I'm a taller, lanky built kid, real awkward to go up against. I can grab you and pretzel you up pretty quick because, I'm quick like that. But this guy was a different animal. He was short and dense like a bowling ball. You couldn't just manipulate him. And for the first time, I felt what it was like to get beaten, not because the opponent was a better wrestler, but because he was just flat out stronger than I was. It was as though I was going against somebody a couple years older where, I don't know, a little more puberty had kicked in or whatever it was. It was like I couldn't really compete. And it was so frustrating because I remember just being stuck, and I was like, you work so hard all season. You're just trying to go through the paces and do the motions and do whatever it takes to be the best and to get your arm raised as champion and have your moment of glory, and to get beat out, not by a guy that you felt was just playing better than you, but was just playing stronger. And that was a pretty, defeating way to, go out, especially when you end the season like that. And I remember the thought came through my mind was like, you know what? There is no way I'm going to get beat again solely on somebody out muscling me. This is, unacceptable. I got to make a change here and now. And that was when I had my, key moment where I drew the line in the sand and, started doing the push-ups and the sit-ups and working out. And, I'm talking about 12, 13, right? And, just starting to really get into it and force myself to grow. But again, they used to call me Steve Urkel back in the day. I was, a scrawny, goofy looking kid, kind of coordinated or whatever. And hey, whatever, right? We're all kind of go through that awkward stage through adolescence and junior high. But, I was starting where I was, and I knew that it was going to take me some time. But the beauty of it was that I had patience with myself, even at a young age. I think one of the first bodybuilding books I remember getting was the Arnold Schwarzenegger Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding or something like that. A big, thick phone book looking thing. It was great. It had all these anatomy drawings and tips and instruction on exercises, and you'd see these just massive, colossal guys in there. And, as a kid, it's so much easier to dream and think, oh, one day I'm going to be able to, be big and buff like that, right? And it was one of those things where you didn't get hung up on the fact that it would take, years for you to even have show an inkling of any sort of, big biceps or, big tree trunk legs or anything like that. But it didn't matter when we were young. We just weren't beat up by society, or we didn't have our own limitations created in ourselves. So it's like we didn't care if it took 20 years. I mean, half these are grown men anyway. It's going to be till I grow up. If I'm 15 reading the book, I don't know, 25, 35, it's a long dang time away. But what's so amazing now is you look around and, we're kind of in the microwave popcorn generation where people want instant results, and, it's hard to knock it. I get it. Hey, YOLO, right? You get it now, get it while you can, because you never know. But at the same time, what hasn't changed with all of the change is the change of time, from the standpoint of time still moves at the pace time moves. Our perspective on it changes, but the seasons still run 90 days at a time, right? You can't make April go off the map any faster by just tearing the page off the calendar. It doesn't work that way. You have to understand and respect Mother Nature. You can't just, drop to the floor, do 50 push-ups 10 times in a row, then all of a sudden go from that to being able to bench press 405 pounds, and just knock that out. There's a process involved. And so it's so important for us as we go out and seek new things and start new beginnings, is just understand and have that childlike comprehension of just going for it and not getting so hung up on attaching our success to the specific time frame. It's just like you knew you were going for it, right? I'm going for the Hail Mary, fourth quarter, 2 minutes left, down a touchdown, whatever. I'm going for it. You don't care so much about the fact that there could be some delays along the way. There could be some pit stops along the way. There could be some there could be some potholes in the road, and you may even have to trade some passengers along the way so you can keep moving the right direction. But if you elect to never even, start because you don't like where you are beginning from, then it's a mistaken judgment. It's an error in judgment. It really is. I mean, some people, like Mother Nature's outside raining and storming. Some people are starting in the rain of their world right now, but they can still begin anew. We can tear up our life script right now and write a whole new life script and start living it, immediately, or go to bed and say, okay, I'm waking up a new day, start a new life. And we're so unique in that sense that we have that ability to change. And if we can just start where we are and not get hung up on all the particular baggage that we might be bringing emotionally or intellectually to the table, where it's fact-based or fiction-based and figments of the imagination, it's not the important thing. What's important is that we take that action, even if imperfect, to move the direction that we want to go. And that's going to be one of the things that begins to empower us to like a locomotive, start to build that steam, that confidence just from that repeated action, those miniature wins, right? As you try to get many wins, M-A-N-Y wins, you want to start with many wins, M-I-N-I. Okay? So, you just kind of bringing that all together. I think when we look at starting where you are is really a motivation or a suggestion that we not let current circumstances dictate our future potential. Because again, once the decision is made, there's certain things we all ought to do. There's certain things we should do. There's certain things we need to do. But unless these become things that we declare we're going to do, we will do, we gotta do, we must do, then it's not gonna happen. There's gotta be the conviction there. And regardless of where you are, that has nothing to do with where you finish. Because I can tell you from firsthand experience, many of us will give up on ourselves because we don't believe in where we can finish. And it's very significant because time's going to pass anyway. Time's going to pass anyway. So as long as you keep chugging away at what you're trying to get to, you're going to be able to see that compound effect working either for you or against you. And so that's just, something I wanted to make sure I drove home. I'd like to be able to even build on this, because I think it's something that as we look at the journeys we start in life, it's important that we get a better outlook. We need to see better from the standpoint of not just starting where we are, but looking ahead, looking past our immediate surroundings to where we want to go. Say, hey, I'm trying to go yonder. So I can't, as I build this vision out, I can't get stuck and caught up in the minutia of my immediate right now. My immediate right now might be a hairy, particular, complicated kind of situation, But the idea is, if I have a vision bigger and beyond that can see further than just what is occupying your existence right now, that's when you'll be set up to start to actually rise up and have that vision that's eventually going to help you get traction on the ground so you can get to running and moving forward now, because it's just the process of how you dream it up and you write it down and you break it down, and it goes further and deeper than that, to say the least. So start where you are. Take this message, use it for something you've been looking at in your life. And again, the idea behind this is don't let your current circumstances dictate your future results. You can have something different than what you're going through or what you have right now. And that's something we need to think about, and just be patient with the process. Understand that if you're about to, start trying to get swole, fellas or ladies, right? It doesn't happen from just a couple of sets. No different than if you're trying to make a change in your, your lifestyle habits or your dietary intake, or the way that you communicate with your partner or with your parents, right? You have to give yourself a little bit of patience, especially like a career change, right? You want to build a new skill. You want to learn a new language. Be patient with yourself, but also start where you are, knowing that it will be a journey, and do not let that dissuade you. Do not let that discourage you from moving forward, because you'll find that the power comes from the doing, and that's what's going to help you build the momentum to be able to knock down the barriers that you encounter on the way to reaching your goals. So hopefully you're able to take something away from that. And until next time, as always, stay tuned in right here so you can learn how to see better the longer that you listen. And tune in for the next episode. We'll dive a little bit deeper here on how we can enhance our vision looking forward and get a little traction to get where we're going a whole lot faster. All right? Thanks, everyone. See ya.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.